Fiona, just a question out of practicality.
Yep.
In the presentation you use on the RGB plot greater than 90%. Was there a particular reason for going so high as a cutoff?
To be honest, I vary when I use it. So sometimes when I do an 80th percentile, I find that basically a lot of the page glows. So the reason we did that was to kind of try to really hone into areas. So I do vary. I vary depending on the data I've got, but not necessarily. I tend to play around with the data, and if there is a huge spread where I'm getting a lot of different things, I will really hone in on the really high anomalies there, but that's the only reason. I think in IAGAS the default is 80 originally.
I guess this one goes for every one of you. I've played around with a lot of this geochem data, and I always struggle. There's no consensus on how you pick your levels. Say, we touch on that. What is an anomaly? And I saw percentiles. I saw sort of a, like sensible numbers or standard deviation +1. So is there any way of unifying what we use for anomaly? Because I still see, and this is after 10 years of struggling with this, I still see the same problems, like what do we use or what's better for anomaly pickups?
So I touched on that in my talk about looking at what the local regional background was and then having significant steps above that. So that's one way to do it. And another way that we do that is we look, we're constantly running fingerprint studies so that we're looking at specific ore deposits and then looking at answering that question, what are the elements, how big are they, and what is the concentration? And it does vary. So myself, I'm focused more on orogenic gold, but even within orogenic gold there is. So I think that there is no one answer, but if you know that things are varying and you have in your mind what crustal is or what background is in your area, then you can allow yourself, I sort of encourage my geos to say, have a model in mind, but then also pay attention to what the data is saying to you. And together you weave those together.
I'm just going to make a comment. The thing with those percentile things is that if there are no anomalies there, they create hot colours. And the things, if you get to the 97.5 percentile or something for copper and the value is 100 and the highest value is 110, there are no anomalies there. But if there's a value of 110, it's now got a bright colour, and all of these things have that problem. You've got to do something that stops it making hot colours if there's no reason for them. So that'd be my take on. And I have universally for about 15 years now get a value around about the median or values that I like. Like for copper, it might be 20, 40, 80, 160. So every time it goes up a ramp, it's going up 100% because your sampling area in most of these cases between duplicates is up to 25%. So there's no point in having smaller subdivisions, and this really highlights things that are way out there, but using these things that have got these ramps that want to go to some colours at the top of something that's just got a straight line. A lot of them just got a straight line. There's no anomalies there. All that you're going to get out of that variable is probably two background things, and they should be coloured sort of cyan and blue just to indicate, yeah, there are two lithologies or something down there rather than, here's some values that are 5 ppm higher than all the rest of the continuum. So now they're showing up as an anomaly. So that's just my comment anyway.
It's important, and I think Mike said it's dangerous to use a hard statistical cutoff, and that's the same point that you just made. Every normal background population will have an upper 98th percentile data in it. So.
I don't think it might be. If you use that approach and you've got a low background area and the value that's 4 times that background down there, so the background out there is 10, you've got a value that's 40, it looks like a mountain hat on the plane, and that's something you should treat equally as a mountain over here that's 4 times the concentration of the background, so 4 times as high. So that's another sort of important takeaway.
Yeah, that's a good example of another way that people define anomalies as times background. There's a whole workshop you can do on what is an anomaly, and maybe it's one for beer.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Okay, that looks like about it. That wraps up our technical program for the today. Just before we all rush to the bar, which is certainly coming up, a few thank yous, certainly to our sponsors. We've got Bureau Veritas, Intertech Analysis, Minalytical, LabWest and Augur Australia. Thanks to all our presenters, and certainly those who did multiple lots did a sterling job. And to everyone for coming and staying the distance. I know it's been a long day with trying to fit in a lot, and a particularly hot day, which made life difficult, not to mention the burglar alarm that couldn't be turned off. Well, hopefully we've inspired you to go and do some more geochem and to do it well. And if you don't know a whole lot about geochem, then to go and find out more about it. There's several organisations that can help you with that. Some of the people are in the audience today, or many people, and we've had many examples today on how to do things well, how to approach it. The likes of Mark Arundel, who's here today, runs a course. Carl Brohart from CSO Global also runs courses. Carl's in the field and couldn't be here today. So there's many ways you can look at taking this further. Basically, we tried to give you as many things as we could today, albeit in not much detail, just to give you an idea of where things fit into context and give you some ideas of where to go from here. And since the topic of exploration geochem was so large, and despite the fact that obviously elements and minerals are related and many companies are collecting both sets of data at the same time, which is a great idea, but we've broken the seminars into this first one concentrating on elements, and we're planning a companion one, which you'll see there, for early next year on many of the applied mineralogy methods. Then I got really carried away and thought of 2 additional seminars after that. So Stephen decided to stay around and be involved with the organisation as well. So I'm not sure whether I'm crazier for wanting to do 4 of these or for Stephen deciding to help out as well. Anyway, if you'd like to contribute to those, please let us know sooner rather than later so we can start putting those together. They'll be over different times next year, but the sooner we can start planning on these things, the better, as I learnt from this one.